I got to play a very bawdy, drunk man and gave a speech about what is flesh? It decays like the spirit, whatever. And while I'm speaking, there's two people humping on the bar table in front of me and doing a very good job of it, I might add. They usually upstaged me every night.
Well, there were four of us who created Dreamwell Theatre, Sharon and I, and then Allie Zimmerman and Paul Chakrin. And the four of us have been involved in a theater group in college called West Side Players, which wasn't part of the theater department. It was like this other offshoot group. And we had done a number of shows together through that. And so when we were done with college, we knew we wanted to keep doing theater.
It didn't seem right for us to keep working in this student group anymore because none of us were really students or going to be students much longer.
Paul and I kind of talked about moving back to Chicago, where we were both from, and starting a theater company when we got there.
Paul says to him, well, why wait?
And we kind of looked at each other and said, yeah, why are we waiting? And so we decided to, the four of us, to create Dreamwell.
They felt they needed to provide an opportunity for actors that wanted a slightly more professional feeling experience, but that maybe was inaccessible to them.
Oh, to actors, it's a godsend. I mean, you can only do Oklahoma so many times before you get sick and tired of it. But the material is of a different level.
Early on, we were trying to figure out what's our niche. How do we fit into this community? City Circle, incidentally, was figuring that out at the exact same time we were. They were also forming as we were, and kind of completely separately. But at the time, we were looking at those two theaters, ICCT and Riverside, and what makes us different. And what we decided was we wanted to do shows that maybe other theater companies wouldn't do.
My favorite thing about Dreamwell is that we do, and other people have said this, we do plays that you don't get to see anywhere else in Iowa City. And that's, of course, deliberate on our part.
I think it gives another flavor to the theater scene in Iowa City. I think we like to do plays that challenge people, both with topics that are difficult to discuss, but also ones that make us think.
It's more than just about putting on plays. It's about trying to invoke the community and trying to empower people. And I think that that's one thing that Dreamwell is maintained, regardless of what show we put on the stage, is what we try to bring to the community.
And we really got that focus in 2001, early 2001, when we had a board retreat in January, I think, in Boone, Iowa, in a cabin.
Once upon a time, we actually rented a cabin out in the woods in the middle of winter and roughed it, played in the snow. A lot of the really still continuing ideas of Dreamwell came about at those, what we used to call drafty cabin retreats.
And we decided to have our mission be a theater of exploration and to change the logo.
We kind of decided that the sextant was going to be the symbol for Dreamwell, because that was kind of what what was used in ancient times to kind of guide yourself by the stars.
Basically, Matt named it. He had a friend, a very, very close friend, one of his best friends, Paycheck. Paycheck has this thing that he would do every time he says goodbye to somebody. And he would say, dream well.
With that idea of we are a theater of exploration is that we don't know everything. We've come with our toolkit and we know what we think we know, and we think we know what we might find, but we have that sort of spirit of maybe we'll find something new, maybe it'll be something different, maybe I'll have to try something that I've never tried before in order to make something work.
I can't ever remember a single time where there was, we probably can't do that. I don't know about that. It was always very, give it a try, see how it goes.
As a board, they took a leap. We took a leap of faith in saying audiences will still come to these kind of shows that they maybe hadn't heard of and maybe didn't know that much about.
If we can do a show that has substance and makes people think, and if we get an audience of 15, that's still a success. Whereas you could do a very broad comedy that's 50 years old and fill the house, but you not maybe have done as much. You may feel you could have done more.
So I think we try and engage on that intimate level on a consistent basis. And I think a lot of times we connect more than we don't.
And I think along the way we got some mentors.
Yeah, we did.
Jerry Rowe, Rachel Lindhart.
We got so lucky to get people like Jamie Ewing and Matt Brubaker involved really early on in the process.
So when I got involved with them, it was like, okay, I want to do the stuff on the fringes of modern theater. I want to do the stuff that's a little more experimental.
The first year that Chuck and I were the co-artistic directors, we did a season called A Season of Inciting Theater, which meant plays that had been banned or incited riots or caused quite a lot of upset when they were first produced.
There are people that'll be like, I really do want to go to that. That's so cool. I won't see that anywhere else. And that's what we want. We want that kind of response. You're not going to see it anywhere else. And we're very good at it.
I think just kind of being out there and putting out a good product, I think there's a certain expectation now of quality that we have. So even if somebody's not quite familiar with the show, I'm hoping that Dreamwell has a brand.
What is important about art is that it incites discussion. And discussion and communication is what keeps people together.
Actually, my favorite theatrical experience with Dreamwell was a show probably 10 or 11 years ago, or longer, called Wake.
And that was one that was done a year after 9/11. And we just made a point not to call it a 9/11 play. We said it was going to be a show that talked about theater's response to tragedy.
And it was a group of us that wrote the entire piece ourselves, directed it as an ensemble, and performed it as an ensemble.
And we weaved it together into different monologues. I think there were songs. I wrote a children's story that went awry, went into war.
And I think we did a great job of creating a play that was about what artists go through after something like that, without ever actually talking about 9/11.
Well, we've done shows in all kinds of places, haven't we?
That's true.
4 or 5 different spaces that I can remember.
This is a story that's been told many times, but we got married in the Unitarian Universalist building in '96, and Matt noticed they had a stage while he was waiting
To go up and
to get married.
Dreamwell was in the Unitarian Church, and then it went to the Wesley House, where it is now, where Public Space 1 is now, that same stage. Then back to the Unitarian Church, although in there were a couple of other spaces.
I think back to sitting around Matt and Sharon's living room, trying to decide where we're going to put these shows on, what shows we're going to do, who's going to direct them, how we're going to hold auditions.
Not having necessarily the people to have the skills to build props. We had some crazy set experiences. We had to build a pool table for a play.
We did. That was like the first season.
We don't know how to build a pool table.
Well, when we had a pool table though, and it worked. I mean, the balls went in the pockets.
That's the other thing about Dreamwell, is that people have to sort of be able to think on their feet and be willing to be resourceful and to try to make something out of nothing in the most extreme way that theater can possibly do that, because we always have a lower amount of budget, a lower amount of anything that we can work with. Our space is limited, everything that we have, and I really think that that's sort of what makes the magic all that much more magical.
It's still limited with the amount of technical things we can do in the spaces we have and such. And so having to be creative and come up with ways to make it work, I feel like that's definitely helped people to grow as actors, as directors, as people.
And I have seen at least one graduate student in theater break down in tears after having to direct a Dreamwell show, not because of the people or the material. It's a challenge. It's a wonderful challenge.
Literally, before the Book of Liz, the ceiling tiles from the bathroom above at Wesley fell down into the theater about an hour before we were supposed to open.
For of Mice and Men, the door. The door fell off during the middle of the show.
The lights would just randomly shut themselves off for sometimes a couple minutes at a time.
And there had been a bat that came in, and it was flapping around on stage, and he was chasing it with a broom.
Our first set of lights was some DJ equipment that we bought from some guy. 4 lights on a pole that lived in our apartment for the longest time.
Yeah, there was no focusing of these lights,
Yeah,
okay?
it was-
They just were like lights.
So many years ago, during a production, it was Enemy of the People. One of the cast members was a really young woman that had not done anything with us before, and we got to talking, and she is now my wife, Kristen, who is also now a board member of Dreamwell. So Dreamwell got me married.
Of Mice and Men was our first play.
Right.
Which is not something that someone else would have done. But we needed to get something that people would have heard of.
Right.
Brand new theater company, don't want to show up in the back of a church doing necessarily Corpus Christi right out of the box.
A play called The Pillow Man, and this is where I managed to crucify a child every night for 6 performances.
It would probably be Lysistrata as well, but not for the salsa incident.
You know, when we were in the Unitarian Church, the bane of every director's existence was the lift at the corner of the stage.
And I said, you know what? I would like to do the show here, and I want to use the wheelchair lift as the Deus Ex Machina.
I played the Spirit of Reconciliation and was decked out in Britney Spears drag with a feather boa.
And Matt comes in the back, with this scanty bit of thing on him and prances through the audience to the Deus Ex Machina.
And it took a while, it doesn't just go up.
Just standing there, like holding this demure pose.
He basked in every moment of it being raised up.
This chairlift that was always in our way whenever we performed at the UU finally became a pivotal part of the show, and I got to be a part of that.
Dreamwell has been around for 20 years, and congratulations to Dreamwell. The very fact that it survived for as long as it has is an achievement. There aren't too many theaters, especially theaters of this kind, that survive for as long as they do.
When we got started, there was some publicity.
Yeah.
Newspapers would write about us, and they would ask other people in the area, "What do you think about this?" And they would say, "Well, the average life of an upstart theater is 2 years."
As you can imagine, that kind of inspired us to make us last much more than 2 years.
It keeps evolving, and I think, and also in terms of technical stuff as well as material. And I think if we had said from day one, well, this is how the theater is going to be, and that's how it's always going to be, we probably would have folded in 3 years.
Dreamwell over the years has gotten, as far as I know, has gotten more involved in how it interacts with the community.
But it was my perspective comes from having walked away and having seen it grow into what it is now. And just remembering how much fun it was and how hard it was at the same time. And I've never had any other experience like Dreamwell in my life.
Well, I do see us doing more with original work, and I see us that we've had over the years a number of they call them writing jousts or writing contests, and people seem to like that, and we have had people that now, as artistic chair, I get emails from people with their scripts saying, I've read about Dreamwell, I've heard about Dreamwell. We look at our scripts, and that's very exciting to me too.
We've got a lot of new people coming into the Dreamwell world, and I'm excited to see what they might do with it. I think the possibilities are endless, and we're just going to keep on going.
That's why I feel okay about leaving, because I know it's going to keep going, because there are so many people who are dedicated and determined just as much as I am that it lives on. And so I feel good about leaving in that sense.
I didn't find love in Dreamwell, but I did find good friendship in Dreamwell. I would say there are many good friends I made through the theater that I still see today. Some who aren't even involved anymore with it, but they still last too.
I carry it in my heart, and I will always carry it in my heart. And I think Jamie Ewing, Vicky Krajewski, Christy Hartsgrove, Scott West for getting me involved, getting me on the board, and pushing me in the right direction.
It was a short period chronologically in my life, but it has carried meaning throughout the last 15 or so years.
It was so hard to leave. It was hard to leave Iowa City. It was hard to leave the university. It was hard to leave my friends. It's really hard to leave Matt and Sharon and Paul. I mean, they were my people. We had no idea that this would essentially become part of our legacy.
The founders did a good job of establishing the theater and giving us our mission and our goals.
They were never interested in running this thing forever and exactly the way they wanted to. They actively sought out people with different artistic visions, different ideas, and welcomed them and made them part of the board. So I think the theater that Dreamwell that exists now is significantly different than the Dreamwell when I first started.
I'm so grateful for everyone who came after me, who came along and believed in the vision and kept it going, and everyone who's going to come in the future, especially after Matt leaves. What is that going to look like?
I think my closing thought is just thank you. Thank you to all the people who have made Dreamwell what it is. It means the world to me that it still is here, and it wouldn't be here without everybody who's devoted so much time and effort, and it means the world to me. So thank you.
Thanks for sticking with us from plays that had 2 people in the audience to sellouts.
That's right. Thanks.
I feel glorious, glorious. Got a chance to start again. I was born for this, born for this. It's who I am. How could I forget?
Happy birthday, Dreamwell!
Happy birthday, Dreamwell!
Happy birthday, Dreamwell.
Happy birthday, Dreamwell!
Happy birthday, Dreamwell.
Happy birthday, Dreamwell.
Happy birthday, Dreamwell.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Dreamwell. Here's to 20 awesome years.
Happy birthday, Dreamwell!
Dreamwell, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Dreamwell!
Happy birthday, Dreamwell.
Happy birthday, Dreamwell. I mean it.
Happy birthday, Dreamwell.
Happy birthday, Dreamwell Theater.
Happy birthday, Dreamwell. Happy birthday, Dreamwell. Here's to another 20.